actually, this is you have been across as a fact. Any atrocity happens in India on Dalits, you'll be the first person as actually, as far as I know, from a national level. For example, Tamil Nadu, something happens, you immediately either report it or you go for a fact finding, and so that it happens across India also. So that in your experience, working with this Dalit movement and criticizing the Dalit movement from a Maharashtra, you're from Maharashtra, so that could you point out all the gist in Maharashtra context? If you can cover shortly about Dalit movements, no, because I find it's a very important. Also, the intellectuals from Maharashtra have a different perspective. Also, I feel that's a very important background which everybody should know. Also,
Let me say that Dalit movement has been a pan-Indian phenomenon, and I, for one, would not subscribe to that there is some peculiar aspect. Micro realities are different. That you have to grant because everywhere. But there's a way of understanding caste and Dalit movement, etc. These terms, and I have a vantage point advantage, because I have not carried a Maharashtrian perspective or something like that, and sort of belong to most states. Not that I say so; they also would acknowledge. So I have advantage of that kind. My observation from that point is that there is nothing which could be called Maharashtrian perspective and things like. Definitely, if you're talking about the intellectuals, etc., from Maharashtra, there's a minute difference because much of the things of Dalit movement happened in Maharashtra. Ambedkar works there. Many, meaning they have advantage of access to these things, anecdotes and things like that. And in initial period, Dalit movement shaped up. Maharashtra has been the place where it shaped up, and whatever that has happened elsewhere actually happened in Maharashtra earlier. Okay, so they have a sort of advantage, probably to articulate in different ways. Because when Tiruma Valvan, for instance, had come to Bombay for his release of Talisman, I cautioned him that I knew everything of whatever that was happening to Tirumavalvam in Tamil Nadu, for instance. And unfortunately, very interestingly, I don't know, he wanted me to release his book in Bombay. We did not personally know each other that time. Meaning, of course, he was a bigger figure, so I knew him, but surely he must not have known me. So that was a surprise. I agreed, okay, there was no issue, etc. And whatever that happened later on in my speech, I said, I praised him initially and said that whatever that is happening in Tamil Nadu has happened already in Maharashtra, and cautioned him that do not be cautious, we take caution from the happenings in Maharashtra, and probably do not repeat the same thing. Do not let the history repeat once more in an idiotic manner. So that kind of advantage Maharashtrians do have, because many things have happened there. So we know who is doing what there, what would be the approach of the ruling classes, how they manipulated things, what way was the response of the mainstream Dalit movement, and that is the kind of thing. So I don't know what you expect me to do on Maharashtra.
so actually, as you said, it is in the sense it is little forward, the Dalit movement there. For example, the contemporary RPI, the later, the past RPI, all are very different movement, 1980s onwards. That's what the Khairlanji also, there is no big movement. So could you cover the Dalit movement's historical, a short?
Okay. Rundown of the Dalit movement. The significant nodes of Dalit movement could be sort of seen like this. After Baba Saheb Ambedkar died, he had conceived Republican Party. Republican Party was constituted thereafter, and a presidium, a admirable thing, and one way it reflected also the Piscatorist tendency in the leaders, because Ambedkar was a towering figure, and the next person was not available kind. In masses, there was an image of Gaikwad, etc. But these people who were Gaikwad was a rustic, relatively speaking, identified with the masses, etc. And other people who came to leadership were a bit educated, etc. Those people did not easily accept Gaikwad. So as a result, the presidium needed to be formed, etc. And that was positive. I look at that positive. But that also did not last, because the same way, like Ambedkar was interpreted. Some people said that Ambedkar gave a constitution. Now there is no need of this thing. We have to, the constitutional way is the only thing. Some people picked up that no, after constitution Ambedkar embraced Buddhism. So Buddhism is the path of emancipation. Also, we have to be Buddhist and we have to run in this direction. Gaikwad, having been a man of masses, thought differently, that we had a lot many problems, and he had a clue, because Ambedkar used to confide into Dada Saheb Gaikwad, and in that way he discussed lot many things. Like 1953, late in his life, Baba Saheb recognized that this is well known, probably you also know, that whatever I have done has benefited the urbanite Dalits, educated urbanite Dalits, but I could not do for many of my village people. So he used to lament and even wept literally. So when in 1953 the SCF unit in Maharashtra visited him in Delhi, he said, and he must have been thinking, the person who gave his lifetime for this kind of thing. So there were a lot of crisscross thinking must have been going in his mind. So he suggested them, can you fellows, because this is what happened, that we have not done anything to benefit really rural Dalits. So can you take up the land question and do a satyagraha? 1953. And B.S. Wagmare was the leader of that unit. They went, and in Ambedkar's lifetime, one satyagraha happened on land question. Until then, there was nothing like, there is nothing that happened really for the rural people. And that satyagraha was really successful. Something like 1700 people went to jail and this and that. Not many, again, our mainstream Dalit movement does not recall such kind of events, but they are very important. Now, taking clue from that, or later kinds of Baba Saheb's thinking, Dada Saheb Gaikwad did the 64 nationwide satyagraha for the Gairan Jameen, etc. The tone was the class tone. Those people who do not have land should be given land and stake claim on a government land. And this is a long drawn satyagraha, probably parallel of which does not exist. It was a nationwide struggle, and many people went on getting arrested every day. They would go to the government offices and get arrested. All jails were full. This is the kind of thing that has happened, which actually took alarm, rather, the ruling establishment. Because if Dalits actually don this kind of robes, rebellion robes, then they have taken they have noted it. And they came out, Congress came out with the cooptation policy. The Yashwantrao Chauhan, who was in cabinet already in Delhi, co-opted Dada Saheb Gaikwad by offering him Rajya Sabha post. Gaikwad was very confident that he would not be sold out to anything, but this was an opportunity to go to Rajya Sabha. And he went. He used to explain to people, Gajrachi mungi wazli tar wazli nahi tar khaun takli, meaning thereby that the carrot, the type kind of thing, what do pungi, anybody knows? We can play pungi, poo. So that kind of thing. So what he said, that it is made of carrot. So if it works, otherwise I will eat it away. Doesn't matter. Because he had that kind of confidence. But it did not work that way. He went to Rajya Sabha, raised many good points, etc. If you look at his personal history, then he was a very confident and sincere person. So there is nothing to be. But it served the purpose of Congress. This strategy became successful. So a lot of people took a clue. And there was an exodus to Congress, direct, indirect. Some people remained as an agent within the organization, and some people actually went away. So this happened. Movement was within the entire Republican Party was disintegrated in 60s. And then came, by 70s, the new generation of university graduates came out, and seeing nothing. That was an international situation also was in turmoil. Every corner of the world was in flame. That can be related with typically the way I put forth is the capitalist crisis and things like that. But you don't have to. There are a lot many dimensions to it, and how each other inform and reinforce thing. There is a lot of learning in this thing, but not to confuse the issues. Dalit Panther was formed, taking clue from the Black Panthers. And again, once more, it threatened the ruling establishment. Once more, the people came out with the sharpened kind of strategies to call the people. And a little bit of the internal forces itself uh, splintered Dalit Panthers, because as it happened at the RPI inception stage, the same thing had happened. There were two prominent people who were thrown up, Ramdev Dasal and Raja Dhale. So, Raja Dhale took a stand, as B.C. Kamble and others, or people said that, okay, Buddhism is the path Ambedkar showed. And the manifesto that was created, there was an influence of ML, etc. that time, the Dalit Panthers manifesto. They said that these people are in the lap of left, and left was against Ambedkar, so that kind of argument. And Dalit Panther also split. It was something like, in my language, flash in pan, proved flash in plan. Other people eulogize it, but there was nothing that happened. Thereafter, Dalit Panther became one of the political outfit, with Ramdas Athole and Arun Kamble coming to the scene. All of a sudden, where from they came, I don't know. But they took it over, became a normal political party, fought elections.
Till then there was a movement. They were all
Pardon?
movement. Till then they were all movement, not elections. They were not contesting elections.
Dalit Panther initially took a stand of opposing elections, etc. But later on, because that phase kind of thing lasted for a short while, and within no time, everything disintegrated. Then it became an ally of someone, and this and that. It was around personalities. The personalities got degenerated. Kind of Ramdev's profile today. He's in Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena, who has beaten and directly took an opposing stand and actually beaten them physically. He's on the lap of he landed on the lap of Bal Thackeray, for instance, and it still is. So this kind of things happen. Raja Dhale, is another degeneration kind of track. But inevitably, you have to speak about personalities, because these are personality-centric kind of things. So one feels bad about, but nothing can be done. So this way it happened. Then Dalit Panther became one of the outfit, sometimes going to Congress and this and that. Then after a short while, 1980s, Prakash Ambedkar comes onto scene. Prakash Ambedkar, he was a young fellow, and he had an aura of Ambedkar's name, and he whosoever backed him that time, but certain things were positively taken. After Dadasaheb Gaikwad, he had a big morcha about the Gairan land. So land question he had taken, and some of the other issues, material issues of the rural Dalit, he had taken up. And because of the Ambedkar name, tag became very popular with Dalits. And he took again significantly independent stand from the mainstream. That Sharad Pawar was in a sort of mainstream, representing a mainstream. So he took very independent stand, and as it ought to be. So that kind of thing, just to marginalize Ambedkar, or marginalize the entire kind of upsurge in Dalit movement. Sharad Pawar picked up Ramdas Athole from Siddhartha Vihar and catapulted him to the cabinet post, made him a cabinet minister. And everything. So thereafter, you can trace out that Ambedkar today stands nowhere. Prakash Ambedkar is nowhere, and that kind of expression of independent expression of Dalit also is totally marginalized. So this is precisely that has happened. Now, Ramdas Athole again. Deliberately it was projected that he's a militant leader, he was a mass leader, he was a street fighter, and this kind of thing. There was a huge money of Sharad Pawar that backing up and making up the image of Ramdas Athole. So this was happening alongside. His only demand was that he was given a Lok Sabha seat, then was backed by Congress. He went to think, and he was trying to aspire to be minister, which did not happen. And then he precipitated that issue, and last year he said that the Congress is bad and this and that and all, and he went to now Shiv Sena.
All of them.
Prakash Ambedkar has not gone. Prakash Ambedkar is personally totally marginalized. He is a small force. His force is in Akola. To positively speak about him is that he has still not compromised. And Maharashtra, the deliberate propaganda was built up around Prakash Ambedkar that he is a BJP man, because the equation in Maharashtra politics is such that if you oppose Congress, now Ramdas being in Congress, if you oppose Congress, you take an independent stand, indirectly it helps BJP being other party, this or that. There is no third force. So Prakash Ambedkar, whenever the opportunity came, identified as the third force, and he has been a votary for that. So we are not talking about the personal capacities of persons, etc. But as it stands, as it is available to us to look at this kind of people, he has been okay kind. Now I could be misinterpreted because I relate with Prakash Ambedkar, so I hope you do not have that kind of silly interpretation about my stand. But I see that positive in relative terms. Okay, so this has been happening. There was huge personal kind of propaganda, like to the extent that he married someone. Then his son was in Maharashtra, they call Munja. Is it understood? Something like Brahmin boys, when they grow up, then they put up Janavu, and that is, there is a ceremony kind of thing. So there is a false propaganda, and it was seriously taken, to the extent that some people asked me as a part of their family. It's a funny thing that went on, and this was not innocuous, it was not. It was deliberately pumped up so that Dalit people discard him. So this was going on. Now as it stands, we have come to an end of things. We have come to contemporary times. Athavale finds himself in a Shiv Sena, and then still Ambedkarism stands. You do whatever thing, and you are an ardent Ambedkarite. You are catapulted. State picks you up from nowhere, makes you a planning commission member, makes you somebody. And the kind of orientation Dalit movement has got, that Dalit people actually became so much statist. State recognizes, you become automatically great. Okay. So then those people, actually it is a vicious cycle, that sets in. So then through those agents, then you again create that kind of thing, that okay, how state has been my baab to you, and you should not be taking any other stands, etc. That kind of, these people would engineer that kind of opinion, and in turn state will give them, meaning remunerate them in terms of positions, etc. So this way it goes on. So they are all intellectuals, etc. are for sale. So they only aspire to get something, and politicians are of that kind. This is state of Dalit movement in Maharashtra.